without the Christian right, without Jerry Falwell, without Pat Robertson, without these absolute nuts, without these folks, Trump would not be in power. I just think about how bombastic and over the top Trump is. Jerry Falwell is the religious prototype that made that possible. That he was like, he would say whatever just to get a soundbite. He would say whatever just to get money. He would say whatever. And that sort of like, what's the word? Just like careless and violent rhetoric. Again, that was not the way that things were done at least again within religious context. Yes, there were crazies, of course there were, but not the way that Jerry Falwell was, because Jerry Falwell had a big platform too, and that's a big difference. That he had the Old Time Gospeler, he had his own radio station, his own TV station, his whatever, like he had his own mega church, he had his own university,
huge reach, yeah.
And so I think with that, like we can see and we can trace such a clear line between Jerry Falwell and Trump specifically. But again, we can branch out and name other white Christian fundamentalists and then, evangelicals as well. There's that documentary about Jerry Falwell Jr. and the pool boy. And if you've heard about that, his son and all that tomfoolery, that in that documentary, I don't say it outright, but they do trace a direct connection between Jerry Falwell Sr. and then eventually Jerry Falwell Jr. and then Trump. Because again, Jerry Falwell Jr., the first prominent evangelical who endorsed Trump, right? And we then saw that 81% of evangelicals voted for Trump, right? And so Jerry Falwell Jr., in that sense, his son, the cuckold that he was, he again enabled Trump and gave him a platform in a way that Trump wouldn't have had otherwise. But again, thinking about Jerry Falwell Sr.'s legacy in his son's life and how he would have obviously influenced him, there's so many connections that we can make from these crazy Christians, from these crazy conservative Christians from the 70s and before and also after, and how that leads up to Trump. And so that's another example, I think, another connection, another parallel. Of course, history doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme. And we can see that it has rhymed most recently in the US with Trump.
Absolutely.